So a lot of people, they confuse user experience design with UI, which is not true. UI is just one part of UX. So UX is about it's the entire process of acquiring the customer, activating the customer, keeping him engaged, and getting money out of the customer, which includes all the areas. It includes your product, it includes your branding, and it includes the value proposition that you're providing for the customer, right? And UI is just one part of the product. It is basically how the interface looks like, right? UI is that. So yeah, so a lot of people have this perception that UX and UI are same. It is not. UX is about helping people start seeing your value and figuring out what problem should be solved from users point of view, and then build product around that problem. So in interviews, there could be a question on, how would you evaluate uh, the UX of this product, right? So there are these 8 parameters which you can use to evaluate whether the UX is good or bad, right? So the first is useful. By useful, I mean the product should solve some problem for the user. If, let's say, the product, it is visually appealing, right? It has a good branding, but it is not useful to me. That means my UX is bad, right? So UX was also about, as I mentioned, it is about figuring the right problem of the user, right? So it is not useful. Then the next is usable. The product is, it is useful, it is solving a problem, but it is not usable. I mean, I have to put in a lot of effort to do that, right? I waste a lot of time when I start using this product, right? So a product should be usable. Then it should be accessible. By affordable, I mean that you should be able to afford it, as in if the product is quite expensive, it is not affordable. By accessible, I mean it should be accessible to larger segment, right? If only a few users are using, that means it is not a product which is built for uh, mass market, right? Then it should be findable. Findable means you should be able to find it easily. Credible is about whether you can trust whether you can trust the integrity of this product. For example, the product is not exposing your data to the third party, and it will keep your data safe, all that. Desirable means you should see value in using your product, that is, it increases your social status. uh, and valuable is it's a combination of the above 7 factors. So these are like some of the parameters which you can use to build a good UX, and also to evaluate the products, right? So in interviews, such question could be asked: how would you evaluate, like whether how would you evaluate the UX of this particular product? These are the 8 parameters on which you can judge that product. Uh, right. So the next is the UX, the disciplines of UX. So UX is it's a very broad topic. But if we have to define it in a structured way, I think it's about figuring out the problem. Then it is about the UI, and it is about how you use the product. And the fourth is how you are getting the information from that product. UX is about these 4 things, right? Now, experience strategy, which is the first discipline of UX. So experience strategy is more about figuring out the problem of the user, right? So you might be able to figure out the problem of the user, but at the end of the day, you need to make sure that the business is giving you some value. Sorry, the users and the product is giving some value to uh, 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 the user and the product. They both are giving some value to the business, right? So experience strategy, which is the first discipline, is about that. You need to devise your strategy around this, that whatever UX you build, it should give some value to the business. The next is the information that you get. So the information should be aligned, it should be consumable. Basically, the structure that you follow in your product, that is about the headings, about the text, the fonts, right? They should be easily consumable by the user. The way to go about is looking at the similar products that a user is using. So there is a technique called mental models. So mental models is nothing but uh, figuring out what a user's perception is about the other products that he is using, right? So for example, let's take an example of Facebook like, right? So whenever you see Facebook like, it means that you are going to like that specific page or image, right? I'm not talking about the content which is available on Facebook mobile app or website. I'm talking about different websites which have Facebook button, Facebook like button, right? So it is very intuitive that when you click on this like button, it means that you are liking that specific thing that you are seeing on the screen, right? So this is a mental model, right? So users, they have this perception, they have this belief now, right, on how to use the like button. So and information is also about that. That is, user expects information display to be in certain order, and to follow certain rules, right? So information design is about that. The next is we have user research. So by user research, you would understand your customers, and then you would be able to figure out the problem. So user research is again the third discipline of UX. Then the most important, one of the most important, is the interaction design. So interaction design uh, is about interaction with your product, that the user is using, right? So for example, the interaction needs to make sure that whenever a user is using your product, he's getting the feedback back. For example, if he has made some error, you are giving him the right feedback. Then it is also about he is interacting with your product with the current things that he has. So for example, if your product requires a button click, right? You need to make sure that the click is possible with the key, with the mouse pad or something, right? You can't have any other new device with which a click is possible, right? So these are certain things that you need to think about when it comes to interaction, when it comes to interaction design. So you need to make sure that the interactions are smooth and meaningful. They are not cognitive. They're not heavy on his cognitive abilities. So yeah, guys, I think this is all about the things that we wanted to discuss in this webinar. I think we have covered almost all the topics now. Do you have any questions on UX or on any other part?
Sanchit, I have question.
Mm-hmm.
So like for interaction design, do we have anything specific that we need to take care? This is the random thing that comes up in our mind, like while we are displaying an error message, it should be a proper message or clickable. But is there any set of guidelines that is available
Yes,
wherein we can?
there are certain practices that you can follow
Okay.
for better interactions, right? So one is the feedback, right? The other is you need to guide the user to use the product, which is nothing but product walkthroughs, correct? Then the other is you need to make sure that the medium, for example, mobile or laptop, your product, he should be able to interact with your product on all those mediums, the way he has been interacting with other products, right? So those are few things that you need to keep in mind for better interaction design.
Okay.
Right. So for example, if someone is clicking on a button, right? He expects certain feedback that the click has been made. How do you show that to the user that he has clicked? Now it is up to the website to take him to the next page. So for example, when you click on a button, before going to the next screen, there is always a loading bar, right? So that loading bar is an example of interaction. It gives you a feedback.
Okay, so this is generally done by the UX people, or it is stated by the business also sometimes?
So it is responsibility of the product manager to make sure that interactions are smooth. I mean, UX would design the interactions, but it is responsibility of the PM to make sure that those interactions are designed in the right way. Because see, you are responsible for understanding your user, which is, though you are understanding the problems of the user, but you also need to understand what other products that he's using, what type of interactions does he expect, right?
Yeah,
So
correct.
yeah, all that. Mhm.
Okay. And one more question I have, that is regarding to A/B testing. So, like in quality assurance, we have a testing named beta testing, which says user acceptance testing.
Mhm.
So, is that similar to that A/B testing here?
It is totally different. So beta testing is something which you do when you're about to launch your product, right? So
Correct.
it is about making sure that there are no bugs in the system, there are no bugs in the product, right? And you can go out in the market. But A/B testing is about experimentation. So you are evaluating the options in A/B testing.
So the duration is same for the launch of the product, like UAT versus A/B testing. Both of them goes in parallel.
No, no, no. So A/B testing can have usability testing or user acceptance testing. See, when you are doing A/B testing, see, A/B testing, the name is A/B testing, but it is about experimentation. So you are actually launching a new product when you're doing A/B testing. It is a very small product though.
Okay. So
Yes.
it is delivered to the entire mass that we are targeting, and it's not associated with a few people.
What
Depends. That actually depends, actually, right?
exactly? Yeah,
So
depends. Whether you
okay,
want to scale it up or you want to follow the current number of users that you have, or you want to shut it down. It depends on that.
okay, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, cool.